Hi, I'm Breakup Brad, author of the best-selling X Factor Guide to Getting Your Ex Back. And in today's video, I'll be sharing 3 common types of text messages that your ex will likely send you after breaking up. I'll explain why your ex likely sent each of these texts, what their true intentions are, and how to respond in order to maximize your chances of getting them back. Now, I've been a breakup coach for over 13 years now, and during that time, I've helped tens of thousands of clients get back together with their ex. So I've seen again and again what types of messages exes typically send to their ex, and I've learned what they really mean and how to best reply. And chances are, if your ex hasn't already sent you one of these 3 text messages that I'll be talking about in this video, then they will soon. So let's dive into common text number 1. Okay, text number 1 is what I call the validation-seeking trap message. Basically, this means any kind of text where your ex is asking things like, "Why are you acting weird?" Or "Why are you ignoring me?" Or "So are we never going to talk anymore or what?" Something along those lines. Now, if you've already started applying my no contact rule, then there's a good chance you've already received a message like this from your ex. If not, don't panic. It doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong or that there's no hope left. But if you have received a text like this, it's an excellent sign that no contact is having the intended effect. And even if you're not currently in a period of no contact and your ex sends you something like this, it's usually a positive sign that suggests that they're missing you. So, how should you handle this type of message? Well, first of all, did you notice how I used the word trap to describe this message? And that's because it is somewhat of a trap, even though that may not be your ex's intention. But it is a potential trap because it can easily lead you to getting drawn into a conversation or to respond in a way that's going to reveal your true intentions, expose your underlying motivations, and very possibly do a lot of damage to your chances of getting back together. So don't fall for this trap. Recognize this kind of message for what it is when you receive it, and do not respond immediately, regardless of how badly you may want to. It doesn't matter if you feel terrible for ignoring your ex and you're desperate to respond. It's really very, very unlikely that waiting, 6 or 8 hours before responding will cause any kind of negative repercussions. So please do not respond immediately to this kind of message. Take at least a few hours to clear your head and make a well thought out decision as to how to respond. Now, unfortunately, this is one of those times where I can't simply give you a simple sentence or message to use in response. And that's because obviously I don't know your ex personally, and I don't know all the details of your breakup. Sorry, but if you want specific advice that's tailored to your situation, you'll have to sign up for my one-on-one coaching program at breakupbrad.com/coaching. But here's 2 tips to generally help you handle this kind of text. Firstly, the ideal response would usually be to simply ignore this message altogether. I know that sounds harsh, and in some certain cases, it may actually do more damage than good. But really, if you can safely ignore this type of message completely, that's going to send the strongest message and make your ex worry that you've moved on. And that, believe it or not, is exactly what you want, especially during the early stages when you haven't yet started to rebuild attraction or allowed your ex to let go of some of the negative memories and feelings towards you. Now, like I said, sometimes not responding at all can be dangerous because it might cause unnecessary conflict or make your ex downright angry. So if you are worried that your ex is going to take offense if you ignore their message entirely, then you can send a brief reply after a few hours to make the issue go away without falling victim to your ex's trap. Now, the best thing to say in response is pretty simple. Just reply with something like, "Sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. I've just been super busy lately, and I need a bit of space to get over the breakup." And really, you don't need to go into any more detail than that. There's nothing wrong with taking some time and space to yourself after a breakup, and your ex really doesn't have a right to an immediate reply now that you're not together anymore. Now, don't go over the top with any apologies, and don't feel guilty. Once you've explained things with a super quick reply like the one I just talked about, then you can safely go back into no contact and ignore any further replies from your ex. Now, if you're not in no contact when you get this message, my advice is usually going to be about the same. But if you are facing some kind of weird circumstances, like I said, please sign up for my one-on-one coaching, and then I'll be able to take the time to learn about your situation and give you some better advice on how to handle things. All right, let's move on to the pointless text, or as I like to call it, the check-in text. Now, maybe you've already received this type of message from your ex. They might have just said hi or hey, or maybe they asked, hey, what's new, that kind of question. But really, I'd consider any kind of meaningless text like this, where your ex is just asking something really generic, like, what are you up to be a check-in text. And this is your ex's way of gauging your current feelings, and usually stems from the fact that they're missing you and they're thinking about you, but still feel that breaking up was probably the right decision. So how do you reply? Well, for this particular message, it's a lot easier to give you some clear advice. If you're currently employing no contact, if it's only been a week or two since the breakup, or if you've spoken to your ex fairly recently, then don't reply at all. There's really no need, and it's almost always going to do more harm than good if you do reply. So just ignore this kind of message altogether. And that's probably going to be the best way for 90% of you watching this to deal with this sort of check-in text. Now, when might you need to reply? Well, you should probably reply to this type of message when you've been trying to talk with your ex for some time, but you haven't had much luck. So for instance, maybe you employed no contact, but you haven't been able to reestablish any kind of communication with your ex since then. That's a rare situation to be in if you followed my advice up to this point. But in that kind of scenario, you will want to reply and take advantage of your ex reaching out. But don't be too eager though. Always wait a while before replying, no matter what. And keep any kind of response really brief, simple, and positive. If you can, make your ex laugh when he or she reads your reply. Other than that, really otherwise, there's frankly not really any other reason to reply at all, assuming that the text your ex sends you really does qualify as pointless. It's not a pointless text if your ex asks you something specific, like, are you going to pay the phone bills this month? Or what time are we meeting again tonight? Those aren't pointless, although they may not always deserve a reply either. But if you get any kind of text saying things like, hey, or what's up, that is a pointless text for sure, and it absolutely does not justify a response. Remember, you want your ex to wonder what you're up to and worry that you're starting to move on. So this is going to inject a sense of urgency to the situation and can often be enough on its own to convince your ex to change their mind about breaking up. And finally, the third common message your ex will send you. Now I'm calling this the temptation text, but basically here I'm referring to any kind of message where your ex is saying things like, I miss you, or I wish you were here. Anything like that would qualify. Now, if your ex sends you a text and your heart skips a beat when you read it, and I mean skips a beat with excitement, then that is a good sign that you've just received one of these temptation texts. And look, I won't lie, this kind of text message can be really difficult to receive from your ex. And that's because, it's exciting to hear this kind of thing from your ex, and you're really going to want to respond. In fact, I guarantee that a lot of you watching this video that have already received this kind of message from your ex probably did exactly that. You got excited, you saw a glimmer of hope, and you took the bait. Now, don't beat yourself up. That's exactly what every person in your shoes would do if they hadn't been told otherwise. But as I'll explain in a second, it's not always wise to ignore this kind of message from your ex, but do not allow yourself to just give in to temptation and gush about how much you still love your ex, how badly you miss them, and so on. That's never going to be a good idea, at least not until you're truly, really officially back together. Now, depending on your current situation, how you handle this message will change a little bit. If you're still employing no contact, then you don't want to respond to this kind of temptation text. You can feel good knowing that your ex still has these feelings, but don't get too excited, and definitely do not respond if you're still in the no contact phase. Because not responding, like I said earlier, is actually going to send a really powerful message to your ex. It's just basic human psychology to want what you can't have, and not responding at all is a ridiculously effective way to shock your ex into recognizing what they've lost. Trust me, if you don't reply, you're gonna help your cause a lot. But what about if you're not employing no contact? Well, hopefully that means you've already finished the full 30 days. So if you do get this type of message from your ex and you're well past no contact, then you can usually safely reply after waiting a few hours. But no matter what, you should never just jump right into a love fest and start showering your ex with emotional, affectionate comments. So for example, never reply by saying something like, oh my God, I'm so glad you said that. I've been missing you so badly and I just can't take it anymore. I love you so much. That's just way over the top. And if you do reply, it really should be because, you want to use this to set up further contact and set the stage for flirting, rebuilding attraction, and meeting up in person. So for instance, a good response might be something like, yeah, I've been missing you too lately, but the breakup has actually motivated me to make some changes to my life, which has been great. I'm about to head out with some friends, but I'll talk to you again soon, and maybe we can catch up a bit. Or that's even pretty long, so you could just say, yeah, I miss you too, breakups suck, hope you're doing well. Again, the key here is to avoid getting too excited and showing too much interest. Yes, like I said, receiving this kind of text from your ex is a promising sign from your chances. And if you've already completed a period of no contact, you can use this text to establish a bit of fun back and forth conversation and hopefully set up an in-person meetup. But again, take it slow, don't show too much eagerness, and avoid replying or taking the bait if you're still engaged in no contact right now. And regardless of where you're at currently in the process of winning back your ex, it's always a good idea to take my free quiz and to find out where you stand with your ex right now. Like I said, the quiz is free, it takes less than 5 minutes, and it'll give you a list of recommended actions to maximize your chances moving forward. Go ahead and take the quiz right now at breakupbrad.com/quiz. quiz. And that does it for this video, folks. Thanks for watching to the end. Thanks for your likes and subscribes. And be sure to leave your questions for me in the comments below, and I'll get back to you. See you again in the next video.